It's going to be a very, very long election season. And when you have a former liar in chief that is on the other side campaigning, you are going to have to keep the pressure on. And for every lie that he tells, you got to correct it. You got to show the actual data. And after you show that, you have to go ahead and show why it matters to the people, not only the people that's in your echo chamber, but the people throughout America. Let's listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
Trump has been sticking to familiar attack lines about President Biden. Joining us now with a fact check is former Treasury official and Morning Joe economic analyst Steve Rattner. He's got it all in charts. With the issue of crime, take a look.
We are a nation where free speech is no longer allowed and where crime is rampant and out of control like never, ever before.
He's always going with the carnage, Steve. Is it true?
No, crime is not out of control like it's ever been before. And in fact, crime is actually continuing to drop under President Biden. So let's take a look at violent crime. This is per 100,000 people in relationship to our size of our population. And you can see that violent crime actually since 2020 has dropped by 15%, 339 violent crimes per 100,000 people. It's below any place it was during the Trump administration, and it's had this huge drop in 2023. The same is basically true of property crime. This is people robbing homes and things of that like, down 7%, 1,830 per 100,000 people. So this is a complete fiction that crime is up under the Biden administration.
There are different areas of the country experiencing different things, and a mixture of crime and homelessness is very personal to people in their neighborhoods. But again, you can't deny the data and the trends that we're seeing. There's also Donald Trump's false claims when it comes to President Biden's energy policy. Listen.
On day one of our new administration, we will end Biden's nation-wrecking war on American energy. He's wrecking the energy business.
Steve Rattner, again, what are the facts?
We have had record energy production under the Biden administration. This combines nuclear, fossil fuels, and renewables. And you can see here that we have never had energy production this high. And then the other thing that he says is that he's going to make us energy independent again. Well, the fact is we are energy independent. We've been energy independent now for 5 years. And in fact, our energy exports, mostly oil, but also some natural gas, hit a record last year. So in fact, America we produced more oil than any country in the world has ever produced in history.
He talks a lot about the economy and how it was better under him, and also attempting to rewrite history on the deficit and debt. Listen.
We were going to pay off debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. We gave you the biggest tax cut in the history of our country, bigger than the Ronald Reagan tax cut.
The actual numbers show something very different, right, Steve?
Yeah, he did give us a big tax cut. That part is true. But what it did was it actually increased the deficit. So when he says that we were on track to pay off the debt, look what happened to the deficit even before COVID. Even before COVID, because of his tax cut, the deficit was going up, up, up. And then, of course, COVID hit. And under Biden, he's actually brought it down, and in his new proposed budget, he would bring it down further. And so because of that huge deficit, when he talks also about how he was going to pay off the debt during his first term, he in fact added more debt than any other president in history. Some of it, yes, was COVID, $3.6 trillion. But there was also $5 trillion of debt that had nothing to do with COVID. And Trump signed a whole series of spending bills that increased our spending by over $2.5 trillion. So the idea that he was a president that was going to attack the deficit and debt problem is actually completely false.
And Steve, when President Biden put out this week his projected budget, there was a lot of pearl clutching from Republicans about adding to the deficit when they were completely silent for the most part, as Donald Trump added $8 trillion to the deficit. The chart directly behind you on the war on energy, the one you talked about a minute ago, Donald Trump has been posting drill, baby, drill quite a bit lately. Is it fair to say that sounds more like an endorsement of what Joe Biden's doing right now?
Yeah, this drill, baby, drill stuff I find astonishing because obviously you only get record energy production by drilling, and we have been drilling. Obviously, there are concerns about fossil fuels. We need to transition away from them. But for now, we need them. And the idea that Biden has been anti-energy or somehow curtailed our drilling is completely belied by the fact that we are producing record amounts of oil and natural gas.
The only problem I see here, and this is not a joke, is that we could do our entire 4-hour show fact-checking everything Donald Trump says, and we would not even scratch the surface. That's the problem that we're confronting in this election and for this country moving forward.
Steve Rattner did an exceptional job in the way he simply debunked these specific lies by Donald Trump. It is something that we have to do over and over again. It is something that we can't wait for Trump to just do it, but we got to keep the people educated that the charlatan that is Donald Trump we cannot give this guy a break, because he lies he has no shame. And as such, he doesn't care if you know that he's lying. He hopes that by continually lying, you will actually believe that there is something to what he's saying. There's not. He's a liar, and the leaders of the Republican Party are liars. And the problem is they are a clear and present danger for the entire country, because you cannot build a foundation on lies. You cannot build something sustainable on lies, because you're building on something that's non-existent.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number 1, subscribe to our channel. And number 2, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.